I like this setup. Of the weekly buy setup. So on the weekly time frame, the entry would have been here, which right over here. But now it's consolidated at resistance, and this gap reversal makes it a great little setup. Hopefully it doesn't take off at the end of the day. That's the kind of setup it would be okay to buy and hold it over the weekend. Because of yesterday, or the new smallest chip, I guess. All right, so Nicola, maybe that's bottom. This thing has just been, I don't like things that have been just so steadily dropping that way. They're just not very reliable. It's already moving. So it could keep going, but tough entry. I'll put it in my flagged list. That one's up near prior high. JPM, nice gap reversal day. It's consolidating near the high. We discussed this yesterday as to why this was the entry day. It was the signal day to enter above that day's high. And someone asked, well, what about the topping tails? And I said, well, based on this pattern, the breakdown failure and so on, it should go through it. And it's right there. This one, no, got resistance, no weekly buy setup, wide range bar down. So financials continue to do well. These, more difficult since not getting in after the bottoming tail bar and a large stop. Anything could happen, but it probably runs to $90. Getting on board intraday. Hourly's up. Find an entry. Even for this is good for even a day trading list. I have a high school buddy that's been working at IBM FT for 30 years. He has some good things to say about this new CEO, relatively new. Energy, doing well. Another one. So that one's one of bringing up the rear. This would have been a good entry today. It's a buy setup. GME. Yeah. You must be looking at an intraday chart because that thing isn't even moving. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's outperforming. It was a similar setup though. Yeah, it doesn't look like much on the daily chart, but intraday, it's impressive. So we got 147 wide range bars here. That's a retest pattern. That's in resistance. That's a mess. That's up a bunch. That's too big. This looks good. This could be entered near the end of the day and make sure it doesn't turn into a topping tail bar. Since today is the first day, the breakout bar day, share size it under the low. Maybe it forms a 1, 2, 3. You know, if Monday's a go nowhere day. I'm typing these in for Dan to look at. Put them in the letter. That's just too big a bar. Utilities, not bad. Just slow movers. Moving. Energy. I love these. I didn't already have seen it. Bottoming tail bar that takes out the low in a sideways consolidation. It should keep going. SOXL, Daniel? Semiconductor bullish 3 times. No, semiconductors aren't getting any love lately. I wouldn't be interested in this. And even on the weekly time frame, it's wide and whippy. You know, I mean, it recovered here today, but it's got resistance overhead. You know, if you're going to consider a put spread or a call spread or a condor, you know, that could make sense, but this doesn't seem like it's going to do. Yeah, so that's fine. Just I primarily look at things from a directional point of view, and this isn't it. So yeah, it makes sense for spreads. That looks nice. Another oil and gas, not oil and gas, at equipment. Yeah, weekly reversal. Hey, YouTube, I hope you're writing these down. Thought we'd log in and share some of this with you. So what I like about this is the bottoming action. No, I didn't stop it. It's YouTube's still on. I think so. No, it's on. The gap up, bottoming tail bar, when it poked down, it was bought again. It was gap down, and it's near the high, and the weekly is near support. That's stronger, similar type of pattern, but this one, it's cleared the highs. Well, this cleared the highs. It's kind of just hanging there. The it's higher priced. It's closer to that high, but downside shakeout looks good. You know, energy's good. Let's see. That's already moving. And we looked at it. Not bad. A little extended there. Not bad. It's a power bar. I'll put it in the flagged list. Maybe it forms a 1, 2, 3. It's near the high. All right. Well, retest pattern. Bottoming patterns, not my favorite, but it could pop up a little bit, low priced. REITs been doing well for a while. So trying to find stuff that just starting a move like this broke down and it came back up. Earnings are not until August. See, Oxy's moving up already. Anyway, I have to adjust that. But this could be one. Look at the weekly bottoming tail bar that took out the lows. And so we will put it on the list. I know, I just got the alert on Oxy. But that's okay. If it goes up a little bit, the bar gets a little bit bigger. Start it over. Macy's the other day. Arun, maybe you asked me. You asked me like in the morning. I told you to wait. Somebody asked me, and it went down, and maybe it's coming back up now. But it certainly, it was this day. It started to go, and the market was a little ugly, and it continues to base here. Yeah, so maybe put it on the list for Monday. That one's a little cleaner. Let's take a look at the intraday and see if that tick is real. Yeah, it poked all the way up and came in. It might get going. I'll throw it in the flagged list. See, it's in this sideways list. It's in the messy sideways list. So this list is primarily, you find stuff in there, and you could put, the wide range bar scan in a column or what have you, but it's primarily looking for things that potentially could be credit spreads, that they're sloppy direction, sideways direction. Like something like this, credit spread, put spread down below here since it's got bottoming tail bar, the weekly's still in an uptrend. And then you just go look. You go out to next week, 7 days, look down 37 and below, and there's nothing. That's what I don't like about credit spreads. Do a lot of work to try and find something, and a lot of times there's no premium. And if there is now, you got to think, earnings, right? But that's at the end of the month, and that isn't a bad 1, 2, 3. It's not a great one, but it's bottomed. This broke the highs. It's got a small tail, but we wouldn't be doing anything unless it took out today's high on Monday. So that's okay. It's just too messy. You know what I'm going to do? Because it's like been up here a bunch of times right there. I mean, if it cleared that high, you might just take off. Especially, maybe an earnings run. You bottom fishing, Ethel, with this? Or are you in it and in hope mode? A lot of time, hope mode. Okay. I figured it was one or the other. Um, a positive is that it broke under the 200 and it came right back up again. Um, but this type of stabilization and then failure, earnings are out. So I guess maybe this dropped on earnings. I don't know, whatever they must have been recent. Um, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like the deeper this can travel toward this pivot, the better and better it becomes. If by next week it cannot get above the high of this bearish red bar, that's bearish trend confirmations. For example, right, Sam, PLTR, Sam's PLTR, holding, 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 not, you know, that's not good. And look at what it's doing today, where the market is, went up and it's hanging. So that's not a good sign. Yeah. 119 puts. That's huge premium. Oh, well, it's at the money. What am I talking about? You got to go down here. I don't think so, Manuel. If you're talking about the options guys on CNBC, where they start talking about, big option volume, somebody buying a gazillion calls on a stock, I tracked that for well over a year. They suck. Put it bluntly. You would think anybody that's putting that kind of money to work on options with that leverage must know something. So that's why I started tracking it. I said, let me see if this works out. And the majority of times it didn't. Beyond. That was an ugly gap down today. So, recovering from that gap down is rather normal, after been dropping like that. That's what we call a novice gap. Yeah. And so, any reason for it to stop here? Nope. Maybe just a little extended, but yeah, that was big, big hype when they came out. It's all over the place. And maybe people ate it a few times and said, you know what? This stuff really don't taste so good. I mean, I didn't like it. My wife bought a whole bunch of different stuff. Thought, it might be something interesting and good and whatever. We tried a couple of things and threw the rest of it away. I never had Impossible one. Yeah, just, I'm not big on eating meat, but a little bit here and there. Yeah. Up at the top of the range. I set the alert here. I just looked at this. I was the 5-minute chart trade. No, it's just dead in the water. It's above the open in yesterday's close. I'm looking to see if it was pinching there. It's a low price stock. It's up at the top of the range. So if it was at the bottom of the range and this was the start day, I could be interested in that, but not a 5-minute that's holding up. It meets the 5-minute criteria coming into after 2 o'clock, but not the daily lineup at resistance. All right, let's see. Maybe pullback, some pullbacks to the 50 MA or things around the 50 MA. That one moves straight down and it's a biotech, so not allowed. That's General Motors. Maybe it goes. I don't know. I like today's action where, hit the 50 and popped right back up again. They were talking about this a couple of days ago on CNBC. Joe Kernan, who has been there forever, seems like a down-to-earth guy. He said he felt good about the fact that General Motors was back around $60 and had come back. It was more of a patriotic type of thing than I think an endorsement for General Motors. It's a company that's been around forever, went out of business and has come back. Well, these gaming stocks look like maybe they were going to start to percolate and didn't happen. So airlines, it's under the 50, but decent day. It's like the weekly's okay. So this is just looking for things that are at the 50 MA. It's really not zeroing in on, okay, it pulled back for a few days into the 50 MA. And you just got to click through them. Sometimes you find great stuff and sometimes you find, like today, not so great stuff. Biotech. That's not bad. Earnings in August. Because it's a higher price stock, that could be a put spread candidate. What's this? We got to go out 14 days. 305. Look, they don't even have a 305. right. I could see that Monday. It barely took out the low, so I would have preferred a little more. 93. No, it didn't take out the low. Oh, no, 62 by a penny. Anyway, the depth of the retracement, it could be a continuation pattern from Monday. And the weekly is good, right? So when you see something that pivoted and retraces all the way back up to the high pivot on the daily time frame, you're going to have a decent looking weekly time frame. So this, the 20 MA, that's the same if we put a 100 on here, pulled back to the 100 MA. Oxy, damn thing won't stop. Same as the 100. So that looks good. Yeah, target strong. You think it'll get on board, give it a big stop? You think it'll keep going? There's no wide range bars, so it's moving up in a controlled way. Say it's in the strong list. Where is it? Where's TGT? Okay. So in this list, for those of you that have these scans, so let's look at this one. You see how strong this has been? So when this ADX 14 period ADX, which is, it's a trend strength indicator, which is pretty good. We don't need it on the chart. But when it gets above 60, historically things get tired. So I'm not surprised to see this topping tail that made a new high in topping tail. So while you're looking for the strongest, this is going to tell you what's the strongest trends. Well, that looks like a buyout or something. I mean, they typically don't pull back much. And this certainly isn't. UPS. The hardest things about this are just waiting to get on board. Well, one of the things that you can do, right, is set an alert. $20 MA crossing. Crossing down moving average 20. Right? So I don't know what that'll look like when it happens, but say this started to pull back Monday and I get a pullback toward the end of next week on this. And it's at the 20. It could be a good buy setup. I don't know how it's going to pull back. It could be set that alert off on Monday and it's gapping down. And then I'm going to be, I'm interested in that. That's the way to use the tool. So that one's close to the 20 MA, going sideways. You know, it's a regional bank. It's really slow. I really don't like slow things. But it's the kind of pattern that's saying, hey, this thing is probably getting close to moving. Moody's, not bad, $300. TCBI. Yeah, that's a underperformer, but reversing. It's a bottom fisher. And one of the things that why I'm setting an alert on this, if this was like a $15 stock, I wouldn't even bother with it. But a $70 stock has the potential to move $3, $4, $5. So I'll set an alert. Into it. That's all over the place. Not interested in biotechs. Oh, 50 MA scan is, well, that one's not bad. Health information, that was not bad. Pullback, bottoming tail bar. Not great because, you know, this one's got a weekly. You'd be looking for this thing to have a red bar ignored, or maybe some kind of continuation, but the depth of retracement here, I'm loving it. You know, back to General Motors. 100 MA. So either breaking down or deep retracements, or so I don't have the 100 MA, but you see where the 20 is on the weekly, which means everything's intersecting and it's a mess. So again, not seeing the 100 on the daily, I don't need to put it there. I know, you know, it's at the 20 on the weekly. So this isn't bad, right? You got a bottoming tail on the weekly and this reversal, and it gapped down today. And so it might consolidate, maybe. It could take off. I mean, it is at this prior high. We're always looking to the left, but a strong close. Yeah. And that's nothing. Well, it was a big green bar earlier in the day. I had looked at it earlier. Now it's a topping tail. Reversal. Markets are, what time is it? It's still early. Markets are just jiggling around. The Nasdaq's back down to the lows. Yeah. Well, it's a very good sign. 7 days of green bars signal strength, but it's not 7 days straight up. Remember, it started from the correction day. So you really can't count these because it was sideways, and then you had the correction bar. If you go back and read the uh, the swing letter a week or two ago, I said when this was whippy, I said it needs to tighten up, or we need a correction bar. And just based on historical patterns. And it was the correction bar. And now it's going up and there's nothing to stop it. So you can see it sideways for 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks. Right? This is a little higher, of course, but when they go sideways like that, this is what it's supposed to do. There were times, I don't know if it was this year or last year, but like this, right? This is going sideways. You get a bottoming tail bar that takes out the low and it breaks out. This is what's not supposed to happen. This is a shock. And, it took a week more of, taking it a little lower. You get a pullback and a gap reversal. This is what's supposed to happen. So I wouldn't bet against this continuing to go higher. One of the things that you can look at that is helpful, go out to next week, right? And I don't know. I guess because I don't look at this much on this page. On the formula. IRM. All right. So see 349. Well, 347, which is right where it's stuck at. 350, 2000. It's a whole number. So let's look at next week. So you look around at the open interest for what's big. And 350 is quite a bit less than 347. So maybe that's why it's stuck there. Yeah. I think so. 357. That's got to get through 50 and 355. We'll see about that next week. It's certainly not going there today. Yeah. Well, you got 355 expiring today is 1.7 thousand. And then you got 2,000 at 356, 346, and 347. We'll see how much it changes on Monday. Earnings next week. This is one of the top semiconductors institutions go for, and so far they've been hanging in there with it. Rails, transports. Hey, look at this thing coming back. Earnings the end of the month. It's been doing nothing for a long time. Let's look at dogs. The same thing. The ones with the highest ADX are going to be the ones with the strongest trends, but the most difficult to get on board. But they're okay for intraday, right? They're okay for, they don't retrace. So, putting something like this on your day trading list, well, it's in a downtrend, of course. Afternoon trades. This just means they're in sloppy sideways trends, Miss Sam. So as I mentioned before, you pretty much, this is like your go-to list for credit spreads. So you look at the pattern and then you go and look at the table and see if there's premium. So the ones up here should have more wiggles to them. So something, here we go, something like that. It's going to report earnings. So that kind of shoots, on the 10th, which is Monday. Yeah. So nothing you can do with it. But below here has room to drop. So that's, putting this in this list. You can see this, certain prices, certain volume, they're optionable. It's below the 100. This determines that it's in a downtrend. It's near a 52-week low. And then just sorting this, the ones with the lower ADX are going to wiggle more. Finding anything attractive. Therapeutics. Yeah. Mm. That's clear way energy. I say it's odd because well, so many of the energy stocks look great. This one looks like a continuation lower. How much lower? Well, you got a pivot right there. So the risk reward really isn't so good, is it? Another weak energy. It's a utility. Oh, someone mentioned Cisco before. That was ripping yesterday. It's probably an old line. It's really not too much to the left. That pivot shouldn't do much to stop it, but this is maybe for a day trade. I mean, look, it's not going to move a lot, but you know, for scalping, it's only two between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock hasn't been very good for reliability. But it's the kind of pattern that I would think could go back up to the high of the day. Dow popping up here. Still early. So that's a week away, FT. Let's look at here. That looks like, how could it not go to 250? Didn't Dan have some kind of spread on this? Maybe it was on this day. It's like something he would have sold a call spread on. What a wide range bar down. Flowers for Mother's Day. Don't forget. Don't forget. Sunday, Mother's Day. Earnings 13. Yeah, there was only 11. Yeah, I saw it. Just give me a second here. You YouTubers are really quiet. I'm certainly not quiet in the morning. That's okay. We don't mind. I have to check a flight that is on the way here. Hey, JR, YouTuber, ATRS. It's a pharma. Pharma scare us. Oh, biotechs. 15-minute chart. It's a nice reversal off of the 200, but it's in a downtrend. It's low priced. Something like this has work to do, meaning to digest all of that. So, I look for things that are more likely to provide immediate gratification rather than something that's going to require patience. But, it's not a bad weekly. It's still going to take a little time. So something like this that perks up and comes in and spends a couple of weeks trying to make the turn and gets away. So corrections through price and then corrections through time that build a base, and time moves prices away from these areas, increase the probability of being able to go up. That looks great, Thomas. Right? Steel, right? Steel, wood. And it just looks like, 30 bucks is a whole number, and it should be able to keep going. Um, there's nothing of significance to the left. So, it looks great. I like that. I like the strength. I like the weekly. I like the gap down and reversal. Yeah. Earnings are in July. AME. Uptrend, gap down slightly today, reversal, self-correcting type of uptrend. So overlapping bars and multiple pivots over a relatively short period of time. It's a self-correcting uptrend, which is still strong, but as opposed to something that doesn't show pivots like this on the weekly time frame, there's no pivots. What is the YouTube you're doing? Is it beyond the normal morning update? Yes. So I just turn it on, Sam. I just click to connect to YouTube, and anybody that's, if they get the alert from Master Trader, there's like, a little pop-up thing goes and they know Master Trader's, live. And so they can log in. And there's not a lot of people. There's like 18 people now that are watching. So kind of impromptu. And but if you subscribe and you click the alert button, when somebody that you're following, the channel, is live, All righty. Oh, we got a list there, and these breakouts. It's already on their way. Scanning isn't my favorite thing, but it comes with the job. Wow, that looks great. Yeah, that's the factory work. Another steel company. See, we should have been in this. This is all Dan's fault. He's not here, so I can talk that kind of stuff, but right. But breakdown sideways. It was in one of these scans at some point, that's for sure, for something. Yeah. So I'm typing to him things for the letter over the weekend. He's sending me pictures of airplanes flying around. I appreciate guys and YouTube saying, hey, they're glad that we're doing this. Yeah, there's an air show up in Fort Lauderdale. So I don't know. Sunday's Mother's Day, but it's my wife's birthday. So we're going to go out in the evening. And so I don't think I want to go on the boat. I'd be drained. But if I take the time to do it on tomorrow, it's not a far drive for me. If the water's calm, the inlet is, 10 minutes away from where I live, and then out in the ocean, and, at 40 miles, 45 miles an hour, if the water's flat, you're up there and you just anchor out and, have a beer or something to drink and watch the planes rip over your head. Other boats out there. It's nice, sunny day if it is, and all that. Yeah, well, when you're sitting there on the ocean and they're going by, yeah. But it's amazing. Like, so if they're out flying, like, so I live down near Haulover, the Haulover Inlet. Dan is up by Fort Lauderdale. But those planes, as you know, they're going so fast, that from Fort Lauderdale down to Haulover, they just buzz over where I am, and they're heading down to South Beach to turn around, which South Beach is like, whatever, another half hour further south of me. RF. That looks good, James. This is an energy fund. I think it looks great. Uptrend, pull back to the 50, retest. Weekly is great. It's got room to go up. Like it. ERX. ERX. That's leveraged. I mean, for getting on board now, I like this one, but ERX is definitely stronger. And it's leveraged. It would have been great to have been in this here. Wow. Well, this is what happens when it's, the leveraged get killed. Well, the disclaimer says it's for day trading, not investing. But if you know what you're doing, you can swing trade these things, no problem. That's a big day. It must have reported earnings. Adtran. This thing's been around forever. I remember this was a monster back then. And then it, crash, rally, crash. It's coming back now. Looks good. What time is it? Coming up to 2:30. I almost bought the Dow futures in this. This the time of day has not been good. And XAR has just been so erratic. It broke out last week and came back in again. I would stay away from it, Sam. It's just too sloppy. Oh, you know what? Just set an alert up at the highs and see if it gets back up there and then see how it acts. I mean, why get involved with something like this that you've got all these pivot highs up here to deal with? What's up with uranium? Somebody making atom bombs or something? It has to be a story, right? Well, this thing's moving. Marijuana turning around today on the retest. Weekly looks okay. Looks like it's going to keep going. Oil. This is a mess. Oil again. We looked at different airlines that were beginning to turn around. Now look at that one, right? Compared to XAR. Right? It's the same sector, right? So aerospace and defense. Yeah, aerospace and defense. So, you go and look at this, and this has got to have better stocks in it. Let's look at change on the week. 34 stocks. Well, this one's moving. Smith and Weston. Aerospace. It makes sense. Defense, but it's messy. It's messy. There's more guns that weren't available, pistols and whatnot, that are becoming available. So they're starting to put stuff back out there. Bullets are, yeah, if you want to pay stupid prices, you can get it, Steve. I think, I don't know, supply demand, I suppose, but yeah. Ruger. I bought some just to have. I know it was a stupid price, but I didn't buy a lot. But what was available a month or two ago? Some came available. Turn around and Boeing getting a bottoming tail bar. It's okay. The way it came down, it's kind of steep. But so, as visual aids that we use, look at here, the corrections were sideways to down a little bit. It's above the 20, where this one comes down and slices through it, almost vertically, and then comes back up. It doesn't mean it can't go up, but it's less likely to go straight up. Markets are dead. Make sure it's still moving. Sometimes TC2000, these start to stop updating every once in a while, and I gotta change the page and come back to it. CARG. I made note for this before to see if it makes a 1, 2, 3 RJ. So it has a price void. It's been going sideways for a while, and today it blasted above the resistance. So I think it's worth keeping an eye on for next week to see, if it keeps going or some sideways price action. Looking at when the earnings, I'm assuming they just came out and maybe it was better than I anticipated. Internet content. Here you go. Call it what you want. It's going up. Came down hard again. All right. I'm going to take a little break, folks, and see what, maybe we get a market move at 3 o'clock. Spiders are kind of grinding up there, and maybe the Qs play catch up, but I'm gonna go get some water and I'll be back. And YouTubers, I hope you picked up a few things here. And of course, we'll be back on Monday. I hope you all have a great weekend. And we'll finish up in the green room here in about a half hour. I'm not leaving. I'm coming back to you guys. I'm saying goodbye to the guys, everybody on YouTube, because I'm going to stop the thing. So I'm going to go take a look, get a little break there.